Hello everyone. I'm coming to you direct from San Diego with one of my favorite people in the whole world, Shawn.
Hi.
And we're here to talk about one of our favorite subjects, Tantra. And we've been talking all day about different practices and different ways that we're experiencing Tantra every day. And so we thought this would be a fantastic thing to bring online and talk with you all about. So Shawn, what's one way that you experience Tantra every day?
I guess at this point it's hard not to experience Tantra every day. And it's more of a choice and a mindset to be in. But that includes really what I would say is when I'm not, it's not something I would normally go to, is actually when I go to it. That's when I have to really double down and, and begin to exercise a practice, if you will. Yeah. So when I'm happy, it's easy. That kind of comes naturally. It's when I get stuck. It's when I'm in the bleh, that's when I really have to show up with it. Yeah. So one of the ways that for me is like, how about just taking a walk outside? And in doing so, it's not just about taking a walk, but it's actually taking a walk and not free associating anything other than what's going on right in that moment. So in other words, concrete, tree, grass,
Scruff.
scruff,
Watch.
hair,
Yes.
and only looking at those things until the nervous system kind of calibrates and gets back online so that you can actually approach things from that true place of who we are. It's centering. It brings back a person to center.
I like that practice.
Yeah, I do it a lot. It's a really good conflict resolution tool.
Well, there's two that immediately came to mind for me, and one Shawn and I were talking about last week too, is just the slowing down, like slowing everything down, whether you're eating, whether you're making love, whether you're taking a walk, like you're actually slowing down and taking in your surroundings. You're taking it in with this curiosity and with this breath, and you're like opening up all of your senses to what's happening in this moment. And again, it's bringing your nervous system online, it's bringing your whole body online, it's bringing all of these extra sensory abilities that we have right here with you so that you're experiencing more of this moment. And it's really hard to drop into the past or into stories or what's going to happen if you're slowing down, just like, oh, this touch. I'm just right here with my little pinky. And what's happening right now? Or I'm right here with this bite of food, and it tastes so much more alive, and like I said, you just are so much more connected to your food when you're eating this way. You're so much more connected to yourself or your partner when you're making love this way, and the slowing down helps you be right here feeling and taking in the moment instead of it's really hard to go to fantasy or going to the grocery store later on or like the to-do list that we carry around. When you're slowing down, you're like, I'm really appreciating right now what's happening in this moment.
I think so often people go to Tantra just for relationship and sexual tools or experiences. And I think that there's a really there's a really big mistake there to just go for those things, because those things are truly things to explore, but there's also how to use it all the time. And I think I first started in Tantra with just those things where I wanted to have the stuff that's in about the bedroom or things around relationship, and I just focused on all those things, but I recognized that there was a lot of the rest of my life that wasn't being infused with the same wisdoms that I was learning or I was exploring, which are totally you can transfer them really easy into other parts. And so, I think that that's one of the pieces that as I've gotten further along on the path is I've identified the micro steps to get to these better results of how to live well. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. So we were talking, and she was sharing. So I was asking her about this thing that she does, like a practice, and she was speaking to the reward of what happens when you do the practice. But my question was, how do you get to that place? And she was like, well, yeah, and she gave another answer, and it was like another part of the reward. I'm like, okay, I get where we're going to, but how do we walk into that? And then all of a sudden, she just took this deep breath in, she closed her eyes, slowed everything down, and all of a sudden, she started to recognize the parts of something that got her to the place where she wanted to share with what I would call the result. And And that's kind of inspired us to kind of look at something deeper, because I think because her and I are so immersed in Tantra and how it's living and breathing through us, that we don't think about the parts of it, because it's almost like auto programming. Like when someone says, "How do you do awareness?" Like, honestly, it's my body. I feel something, and then but for some people, they don't even know what it means to feel their body. They don't even know what it means to have the awareness of what and trust what the body's saying. So if we just broke down the parts more effectively, it felt like, oh wow, yeah, I had to learn all that stuff too at some point, or I had to experience all that stuff at some point. Wouldn't that be neat to like kind of break down even further?
And have steps and have like this go-to of let's try this, let's experiment with this, and how does this work? Because again, so often then you see these rewards and these bigger principles, you're like, but I'm here, how do I get up to here? And so that we've been talking about, well, what if there was a Tantra toolbox? What would that look like?
Something that would be about us revealing how we're experiencing Tantra from two different perspectives. So the thing about Tantra, which I was sharing with Monique earlier today, is it's less about Tantra giving us the answer. It's more about Tantra inviting us to experience something, and then there's thousands of ways that can happen. There's so many different practices to get the same result. And so Monique and her experience of life and my experience in life, we have different approaches to get the same results. And for some human beings, the way you do it would be really great, and some the ways I do it might be really great. And we thought, well, what if we just put our heads together and like offered a whole week to just hang out and explore this kind of stuff?
So we're super, super excited. We're going to do that, and it's going to be on the calendar very soon. It's the first week of November in Cabo, Mexico. So that will be announced very, very soon. But like as Shawn was talking, then as we're talking about our body, like one of the first practices, because I had no idea how to listen to my body.
Right.
I grew up an empath. I could hear everybody else's screaming, but I had no idea what was happening inside of my own because I lived somewhere else. And as I've started coming back into my body, and like this is actually home to me now, some of the beginning practices were having this meditation with my body in the morning and just picking apart. And like, throat, what do you want to tell me? And just closing my eyes and giving time, and even picturing my throat. There's Monique sitting right here with her big throat ready to talk to me. And for a couple of weeks, my throat said nothing. And I'm sure that it was very angry with me because it'd been trying to talk to me for a long time and I wasn't listening. And then there came a moment where it just opened up and it started sharing all of these words of wisdom. And it started trusting that I was going to listen. And I did the same with my heart, with my belly, my womb, my genitals. And I started having this huge experience of exactly what my body wanted me to hear. And then even not having, just doing that meditation in the morning, then as I started experiencing life, I'd be sitting in front of someone and they'd ask me a question, and all of a sudden my belly would answer. And then like the words just came right up, but I could feel it from my belly and almost see me with my big belly sitting in front, like answering this question. And so there's been this beautiful awareness of my body coming back online of, oh, you're listening to me, I'm going to share with you.
See, and even what she's sharing right now, you might be listening like, okay, but how? How did she do that? I mean, you go into meditation, you listen to your throat, and so that's our intent, is to break down that even further so that you understand how those things are, because we can express them and they sound really good, and you might even be shaking your head going, oh, that sounds really great, but then you might retract a little bit going, but I'm not even sure where to begin. And in that, we want to give you the beginning points, the middle points, so that you can receive the rewards of doing those things. Because again, we had to do that, but it's like we go to the gym, we get that certain muscle, and all of a sudden when someone says pick that up, you're like, oh, no problem, I got that. Because your muscle can do that. And that's kind of the same idea with Tantra. We want to give people Tantra muscles so that when you get into your mess, when you get into your joy, when you get into opportunity, when you get into shutdown, that you can go to the wisdoms that we have both shared, but in a way that gives you action or a motion, like to move into it.
So you have the first steps.
First steps.
Yeah.
And how to navigate through multiple approaches towards the first steps. So there's more like color and flavor to use, in life. That's exciting to me.
And because Shawn and I are the people that we are, then we also like to teach from our mistakes and the things that
Absolutely.
we've tried that did not work. And so
Absolutely.
we love to share stories. Like Shawn's one of the best storytellers that you'll ever meet, and I love sharing vulnerably. And so if there's something that you're like, oh, that nobody's ever going to talk about that, guess what? I'm the first person to raise my hand and say, I want to talk about it. And so we'll dive into our stories and to experiences, both like our highlights and our low light reel. Like you get to have both, so that then you can start saying, oh yeah, this has happened, or this is happening, and I remembered what Shawn and Monique said, let me try this.
I know that as I've taught, I've offered some really beautiful wisdoms that have inspired me, but I haven't always been able to express, because again, Tantra doesn't tell us how, but the hows. In fact, a lot of people get really frustrated because whenever someone, I say, they ask me how to, what do I say?
What's in the way?
Right, it's true.
How do I be a better lover, Shawn?
What's in the way of being a better lover, Monique? and then at that point, what I want to do is I want to give how do I as a person get to my what's in the way, and what to do with that.
And there's some beautiful keys of Tantra that Shawn's come up with. There's our chakra map that lives in our bodies. Like there's so many of these beautiful tools, but then you'll have your own beautiful toolbox. And we might end up making a toolbox for you, but I will definitely do an esoteric toolbox that you'll be able to take home. Oh, here's the piece, here's the piece. Ah, I'm triggered, this thing's coming up, what do I do? Ah, I have my toolbox, so that then you have these useful things that will help you live a life well lived on your terms.
And then on top of that, another intent I'm holding is to give you the skills to create new tools when you need them, which is something we both do. We're very creative in life, as we are creative people, but that's also a really big principle of Tantra, is to find creativity. So rather than have to go just to the toolbox, to also recognize your toolbox may be stuck in the car and you don't have it with you because you're in the mess of something, and you can become MacGyver, like a Tantric MacGyver, and build your own tools.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's
trust.
yeah, and it's trust, exactly. And it's also something that a lot of people don't have. They're still looking for what is the example, what's the model. And Tantra is, if you really start to embrace Tantra on a deeper level, you start to experience that those things are there all the time. And it's about trusting.
And for those of you out there that have been saying, I want more Shawn and Monique, guess what? We said yes. So come say yes and come play with us.
It'd be really cool. So once again, this is just a tease for it. The full information is going to be coming really soon, and we wanted to just open it up by telling why we're excited right now.
Thanks for joining us. We love you.
Blessings.